On the first day of school, city school CEO was inside of schools with city schools police who were armed, and by law, city schools police are not supposed to be armed when in a school during the school day in the school that they're assigned to. And it does create the appearance that the city school CEO has armed security, but the students do not while inside of a school. What is your feeling on that?
I mean, my feeling is that our number one priority is public safety and making sure that people are safe, no matter where they are. And that includes inside of our schools. I think that we have to make sure that if kids don't feel safe, they're not going to learn. So they have to feel safe in their environments, and I think it's important that local jurisdictions understand that public safety has to be a number one priority, so they have to be able to work through what is it that's going to make sure that our kids are safe inside of their classrooms and also safe in the communities that they call home.
Do you think city schools police should be armed inside of a school like they are when the CEO's there?
Well, I think MSDE, along with our local jurisdictions, have got to be the ones to make the decision about what is going to keep our kids safe and what is going to make sure that students are safe inside of their classrooms and in their neighborhoods. But I think that people have to understand that public safety has got to be the top priority, because if kids are not safe, then kids are not learning.
When you go into a school, do you have armed security with you?
Well, everywhere we go inside the state, we have to, we have what is constitutionally authorized. But that has, when I'm thinking about the public safety for all of our students and the public safety for all of our individuals, people feeling safe in their neighborhoods and their communities is our top priority. And I think we have to make sure that we're exercising all options to be able to ensure that that's the case.
All right, sorry, buddy, I've been chiming in here. Can we talk to you about the big news today?
That's
You're
great.
Announcing your reelection. Why'd you do it softly in a video? And you know that it will not quell speculation that you have your eyes on the biggest office. Can you speak to those issues?
I am incredibly excited to go back in front of the people of Maryland because I think we've got an important story to tell. I think we've got a story to tell that shows that in just 2.5 years that we have jump-started Maryland's economy, that we have added over 100,000 new jobs, which is more in 2.5 years than my predecessor added in 8 years, that we've started over 30,000 new businesses in the state of Maryland since we've been the governor, that we have helped to break the back of violent crime, that scourge of violent crime that we were seeing before we came on board, that we made historic investments in public education. We're going to continue making historic investments in public education, and we've actually brought fiscal discipline. We've stopped the out-of-control spending that was taking place in the state of Maryland, where now we've gone 3 straight years of actually decreasing the size of the general fund. So I think the people of the state of Maryland know and see that our priority is here, our priority is them, that we are focusing on fighting for the people of the state of Maryland, and I'm excited to ask them for another term.
Governor, you said public safety is your number one priority.
Yeah.
Last week you announced that you're sending the state police to Baltimore. Your office said that's a very important move. I guess my question, if it's so important, why did you wait until now to do it? Why didn't you do it 2 years ago, last year?
Well, we've been doing it throughout the process of the past 2.5 years. That's one of the benefits of actually having a relationship with our local jurisdictions, having a relationship with the mayor, having a relationship with local law enforcement, having a relationship with your state's attorney, being one of the only states in the country that actually helps to fund the U.S. attorney out of balance sheet. We have made the largest investments in local law enforcement in the history of the state of Maryland. And so I think that people see that we are taking an all-of-the-above approach when it comes to addressing public safety, and what that also means is being able to make decisions and being able to move quickly to make adjustments. The only way you can do that and do it effectively is if you're actually connected to the community, if you're spending time in the community, if you're actually working with local leaders and local jurisdictions and local community members, because that's how we're able to adapt and to know what resources are needed at what point.
Governor Moore, you say you wanted to bring fiscal discipline back to Annapolis and to the State House. When you talk to people around the state of Maryland, the biggest thing that they talk about is they say that you and Democrats in the State House have raised their taxes, and they point to the more than $1 billion tax and fee increases that went into effect this last year. So how do you really look at them and say that you are bringing fiscal discipline outside of the general fund when they also know that tax and fee increases have gone up under your leadership?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we continue to hear from people is a measure of appreciation that we have given the middle class a tax cut, that we have actually given veterans a tax cut. And at a time when you're watching the federal government, which is just given a tax cut to millionaires and billionaires, and in Maryland, the middle class just got a tax cut, I think middle class Marylanders appreciate the fact that we're working to bring affordability up inside of our state. It's the reason we focus on things like how are we dealing with electricity prices and energy prices and bringing them down in the state of Maryland. It's the reason we focus on things like prescription drug prices and bringing prescription drug prices down inside of the state of Maryland. And yes, it's why we've controlled the out-of-control spending that was taking place where during the time before I was governor, Maryland budget increased by 70%. And now if you just look at the last budget, this was the largest cut to the Maryland state budget that we have seen in 16 years. And we were able to make those smart strategic cuts while also giving the middle class a tax cut. And yes, asking those who have done very well to invest a little bit more, so we could actually have the best public schools and have safe streets. And so I think people really appreciate the measure of fiscal discipline and the analytics and the data-driven analytics that we brought to this work, to know that we can both be fiscally disciplined and also make sure that the middle class is getting a tax cut and have a growing economy that can lead us through this effort.
And guys, real quick, we're just going to put another mic on the
We
stick real quick.
appreciate you guys. Sorry,
That's
we're
all right.
a little late to the party here, Governor.
That's all right.
Governor, what's your take on how the
Hey guys, let's just wait for a second.
Okay. Thank you. What's your take on how the field is shaping up? I mean, Steve Hershey announcing an exploratory committee, Ed Hale switching parties to get involved. Can you talk to us about the race here?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen there's a lot of Republicans that are looking to get in the race, and that's fine with me. Whether it's Republican Ed Hale or Republican Steve Hershey or Republican Larry Hogan or Republican Andy Harris or Republican John Myrick, or there's a lot of people who are making similar type of noise. I mean, the thing that I would say is that whoever it is, they should come ready, because we have a very real record to run on, and a record that we're very proud of. Knowing that there is still more work to do, but knowing that the work of progress in this state is very real. And also, we plan on having a very strong effort to be able to make our case to the people of this state. And the thing that we know is this, is that when we're watching the chaos from Washington, that the people of this state want to know that they have a fighter as governor. They want to know that they have a governor who is focused on things like being able to jumpstart our economy, to keep our streets safe, to focus on public education, to make sure that we are bringing fiscal discipline, when we're watching the absolute opposite from people in Washington. And so I think for anyone who's thinking about running in, I think that they'd better be prepared to defend their record, but also they'd better be prepared to also explain why they have been so dead silent when we're watching the ravages of Donald Trump coming to the state, and they have said absolutely nothing about what Donald Trump is doing to the people of this state.
Got time for a couple more?
Speaking about the federal workforce, about the federal changes that happened at the federal workforce, it's no secret, Maryland has the second highest concentration of federal workers in the country. The federal job cuts coming from the Trump administration has hit Maryland particularly hard. Do you have any plans to address that, all of those workers that are without jobs now in your second term?
Yeah, I mean, it's heartbreaking what Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and this administration have continued to do to federal workers. I mean, these are public servants. And right now we have had over 12,000 Marylanders, federal workers, fired by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. People who are doing things like making sure that our food is safe, and making sure that our critical infrastructure is protected, and making sure that our research institutions can still be the global envy. And these are the people who they went after first. But it's just a continuation of this assault that we continue to see from Donald Trump that's coming to the state of Maryland. But I want people in the state of Maryland to know that, that we are standing on that wall, and I'm a soldier. And we're going to make sure that we're defending our people. And that is why we've done things like our Feds to Eds platform, which still actively right now to this day is moving federal workers into the classroom, helping to address the teacher shortage. It is why we're making sure we're working with the private sector to know that the talent that we're having of our federal workers is actually going to be utilized by our private sector partners. It's why we're working with our Attorney General to make sure in the places that we can, that we are filing suit against some of these actions, many of which are illegal, that the President of the United States is doing when it comes to and when it pertains to our federal workers. So we are going to defend our state. And the thing that people know about me is that I am not going to fight the people of Maryland. I'm going to fight for the people of Maryland.
Anything from folks we haven't heard from yet, guys?
Did you ask your wife and your kids about this before you did it? What was their? Did you ask them for their permission or their take on it?
I do nothing without the permission of my wife and my kids. And I'm thankful for how amazing they have continued to be. You know, when I ran for office, just a few years back, I'd never run for office before in my life. I don't come from a political background. I don't come from a political family. I don't come from this type of history. But the thing that I know is that I'm a public servant and I'm a soldier. And in really important times, I'm just thankful that I have a family who understand that and who are my battle buddies right next to me.
All right, guys, we got time for one more, guys.
What do you say to the Marylanders who may be worried that if they do re-elect you,
that your eyes are on the White House and they're only electing a governor for 2 years?
You know, I'd say that that I have never once said that I'm interested in this. And so when people say, "Are you ruling it out?" My point is, I've never ruled it in. I've been focused on this job, and I appreciate the fact that people in Maryland and the people around the country are paying attention to the progress we've made here. I'm thankful for the fact that people are looking at us and saying that Maryland is just moving uniquely, that we have some of the fastest drops in violent crime anywhere in the United States of America. We have some of the fastest new job starts and job rate growth that we have anywhere in the United States of America. I'm thankful for the fact that people are looking at Maryland is now the first state in the country that has a service year option for our high school graduates and have a place-based investment strategy to end child poverty. These are really innovative ideas, and Maryland is leading. So I'm thankful that people around the state and around the country are looking at us and saying that they appreciate it and are trying to model it. But I am very clear and I'm laser focused on making sure that the people of our state are going to be okay, and I'm excited to be their governor for this next term.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, guys.
Sam, you haven't got one.
Can I ask one more?
Of course, Sam.
You just listed off a long list of accomplishments. You know, you ran a couple of years ago a long list of very bold, ambitious list of campaign promises you've accomplished. You made some progress on some of them, but some of them have come up short. The full scope of the service year program isn't how you originally talked about it, with access for everybody on coming out of high school. Some of your legislative priorities have come up short this year. I'm curious where the biggest areas are that you think you've come up short and where you need another term to accomplish, what you laid out 3 years ago.
Well, I think my focus is going to be and will continue to be making sure we have economic growth and economic diversification. When we came on board, Maryland's economy had stalled. We saw how Maryland was spending. I mean, under the previous administration, Maryland's spending increased by 70%, but the GDP was flat. So we were spending, but we weren't growing. And so we had to focus on actually diversifying our economy, getting people back into the workforce, having new business starts here, reducing the regulatory red tape, making sure that people can move faster. And that's why we've done things like our new housing executive order that we just signed that made sure that we're doing things like cutting the red tape and actually taking a look at all available state land and saying, can we build more housing on this state land because we need more housing? That we said we are going to make sure we're investing in new industries of the future, like life sciences and like technology and IT, and also aerospace and defense, because we know those are areas that Maryland has a unique chance to win at. And so we are going to focus on economic growth, because economic growth and economic diversification, and diversification off of Washington, is going to be the answer for every single one of the other challenges that we're looking to solve, and frankly was one of the biggest challenges that we inherited when we walked into, that we said we have got to fix this, and I'm really proud of the progress that we've done to start to solve for it. But my answer to the people of our state is this: we're nowhere near done.
All right, guys. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.